Hey, Mr. Brimhall, this is our presentation on policy making on terrorism.
By Megan Squared. Okay, so the history of policy-making actions. So to start off, terrorist groups are they're kind of considered interest groups because their goal is to change government policy, as it says there. As for our country and the steps that our government has taken in order to try and fix the problem of terrorism, they have created stricter security at airports. Changes of borders have been made. International relations have been affected for sure. Increase in military spending, and then also violent and destructive methods of sending messages have had a more negative connotation, and they get a higher punishment than other forms of civil disobedience do. And then the National Security Act of July 26, 1947 created the National Security Council, the NSC, and basically it's ran by the president, and then the securities of the state and defense are its primary members of the group, and then their main goals are just to coordinate foreign and defense policies and to come up with solutions and to diplomatic and military commitments and requirements, and just solve all those problems in relation to that.
Okay, so these are policy making actions for each branch of the government. So the legislative branch, it creates laws to promote and benefit the national security. The executive branch is in charge of defense aids and policy making, and then the judicial branch is in charge of making policies in the area of national security and the Constitution.
So the interest groups involved, as I kind of touched on earlier, terrorist groups are considered a form of interest groups because they try to change government policies in a not so good way, for sure. And then as for
I can go over this.
Yes.
So the Builders Group I researched, and that is a group where they connect countries from all across the world, mainly from North America and Europe, and they have different political leaders meet. And so they're trying to increase communication so that way there's like no fighting, and then also they want to like make sure that like everybody's on the same page as far as like the biggest issues are in the world.
So the impact on society, it has had both a positive and negative responses from society, like the policy making that the government has taken. So a lot of people do believe that it has provided for higher security. People do feel safer with the policies that have been made. But then there have been some other problems regarding people thinking that they're being stripped of their rights and liberties. For example, it could be dealt with a form of racism. So like if someone was of the Muslim faith, they could be targeted or accused of being terrorists, and that is something that has come up in the past or over the years as the government has been trying to make policies. And then this picture over here just kind of shows that last point about people being stripped of their other rights and liberties. So the letters of liberty, justice, and freedom are being cut out and put together to form security. So it's basically just saying that some things need to be taken away in order to have better security. And then here are political cartoons. This one over here, she is saying the world sure has changed since 9/11, and then this guy says, actually it's the same bad old world, we've just been forced to pay attention. So it's just basically saying that since bad things have happened, people are paying more attention to it and creating more policies in order to change. And do you want to explain that one maybe?
No, you can do it.
You want me to? Okay. And so over here it just shows like a committee, like I think it's a committee coming up with like maybe policies or something, and on the wall it shows war on civil rights, war on international law, war on public services, and the war on the U.S. Constitution. And then someone over here just says, I say we just keep calling it the war on terror. So they're like, it's just showing all the different things that they've had to deal with in order to come up with solutions to this problem. But it all basically is under the war of terror. The war on terror is the main idea or the main point that they've been trying to fix. So the main problem. But yeah.
And so the current status. Oh wait, that was yours. I'm sorry.
Oh yes, yeah. So the legislative branch. So a bill was created in the House of Representatives on national security, and this is regarding the U.S. and Mexico border. So higher security has been taken in that sense. And then violence on the United States and Mexico border is a serious threat, so that's why they took this action. So now it's a serious threat to the security. And then the administration plans to deploy the National Guard to the border, which was requested by state governors and by members of Congress in order to have higher security. And then the executive branch, Obama's national security strategy did include economic strength, reducing weapons in Russia, engagement with hostile countries such as North Korea and in Iran, and then putting an end to the war on terror. That's all part of when Obama was president, things that he had to do. And then the judicial branch, their main purpose is just to review all the national security policies and determine if they are constitutional, if they should be passed.
And so some suggestions that we had to end terrorism were to increase security at the borders, increase troops in Syria and Iraq to make a more aggressive stance, create a strong connection with other countries so that way everybody's like on the same page, nobody has any fights, and we all understand each other. And then also apologize and compensate innocent victims during war. And so what this picture shows is it has two soldiers that just fought, and they said, no idea how many terrorists we just eliminated. But the other guy says, and no idea how many we just created. So that has to do with compensating the innocent victims, because otherwise then they'll just be angry about lost lives. Okay.
Here's our references.
Thanks, Mr. Brimhall.
Thank you.
How cute.